What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel here. Yes, I'm back with another video, and you are the title. So I'm gonna jump straight into the topic here. So, I have the angle from the past video when I was shooting, or when I finished the video that I was shooting in Texas. I did mention that it would be I would maybe end up using this angle for future videos, since I did like the fact that you guys are able to see all the portraits I saw with Buddy McGurr and the new addition Alexis Arguello. So, if this is something new, it's for that main reason. I was a big fan of how it looked last time, so I might actually end up taking this upon for the next videos that I'll be doing in the future. So let's get to the topic. Just last weekend we had another Puerto Rican champion. Another Puerto Rican champion is added to the list of fighters that Puerto Rico has produced and that have developed into world champions. Xander Zayas. I'm not sure if I don't think I've ever mentioned it here on YouTube, but I've mentioned it on other platforms such as Instagram, TikTok, and maybe even Facebook, that in my opinion, I do believe, and yes, I know that he still has a long way to go, and he still has a long way to show that he is that next guy. But in my opinion, and I truly believe it, I strongly believe it, that he is the next great Puerto Rican champion, the next great Puerto Rican superstar. In the same come up generation, fighters that were coming up with him were Felix Verdejo. He ended up having personal issues. Edgar Berlanga and Xander Zayas, as well as Oscar Collazo. But in my opinion, I do believe that Zayas is the next great Puerto Rican superstar after Miguel Cotto. During Miguel Cotto's career and also afterwards, Puerto Rico had great champions, or had champions such as Juanma Lopez, Rocky Martinez, most recently Subriel Matias, Jose Pedraza a couple years ago. But no fighter of Puerto Rico had the same superstardom that Miguel Cotto developed into. Selling out Madison Square Garden 9 times, being a pay-per-view superstar, fighting at the biggest stages in boxing, Madison Square Garden, Las Vegas, headlining pay-per-views with Sergio Martinez, with Mayweather, with Pacquiao. We have not had a Puerto Rican fighter being able to accomplish that ever since Miguel Cotto. And in my opinion, I do believe it's Xander Zayas. I think he is the guy that can carry on that legacy of Puerto Rico. Like I said, I know that maybe in the comments, some people may say, "Oh, well, he still has a long time to go, or he has a long way to show that he is that guy." And I agree. I agree that he still has a long way to go. He still has to prove that with fighting the top guys in the division like Virgil Ortiz, Boots Ennis just moved up. Even fight guys like Tim Tszyu, fighters that have already been in there with the top dogs. I think those are the guys that he needs to fight. Of course, Sebastian Fundora, and I'm not sure if Terence Crawford comes back down to 54 after Canelo. But those names that I mentioned for sure: Tim Tszyu, Virgil Ortiz, Fundora, even Bakram, the IBF champion. Those are the fighters that obviously Zayas needs to overcome and needs to defeat in order for people to consider him as a solid 154-pound champion. He looked great. He looked phenomenal against Jorge Garcia, who was his opponent. I had never seen Jorge Garcia fight, nor have I heard of him before the Zayas fight. But he was ranked high enough in the WBO for the WBO to sanction it as a title fight. Now that Fundora vacated the title to rematch Tim Tszyu. So nonetheless, congratulations to Xander Zayas. I was always impressed ever since he signed with Top Rank, ever since he debuted as a professional fighter. I always thought good things about him. I always knew that he would be a champion someday. And I've always said it. I do believe that, in my opinion, he is that next great Puerto Rican superstar. So what do you, I guess the question is, do you guys believe that he is that next Puerto Rican superstar after Miguel Cotto? Like I said, other champions have came out of the island, like Jose Pedraza, recently Manny Rodriguez, Subriel Matias now won his second world title from Puerto Rico. But no fighter has gained that superstardom that Miguel Cotto had. Edgar Berlanga, he talked his way into the big fights. He had that, I guess you could call it that charisma, or he is marketable. That's the word that I'm looking for, marketable. He was marketable enough to get a fight with Canelo and secure big paydays. This fight just recently was a huge event. Having a great undercard like William Cepeda versus Shakur Stevenson, Subriel Matias versus Puello, it was a great card, and he was the headliner due to, you know, being himself from New York, and the event taking place in New York. So he was able to talk his way into those big fights, and, you know, credit to him for securing big paydays and, you know, being able to change his life and those around him. So nothing but, you know, congratulations to him on that. But again, I don't see any of that being near great of what Miguel Cotto did or what Miguel Cotto accomplished. And Zayas, I do think that he is that next guy. I do believe that he is that guy, and I think that he can actually do good and even beat some of those 154-pound fighters. Is it an easy task? Of course not. I do believe that they're going to be great fights. They are going to be great challenges. And if those guys beat Zayas, I also wouldn't be surprised either, because Virgil Ortiz is a tremendous fighter. So is Sebastian Fundora. He's tall, lengthy, and, you know, has good power. Same thing with Bakram. You know, nobody should doubt that. You know, I don't have to explain too much. You know, just his victory over Tim Tszyu demonstrated who or why he is a champion in that weight class. But, you know, that's what I wanted to. That was the reason behind this video. I wanted to go ahead and share my thoughts and opinions about Xander Zayas, who has now been crowned a world champion just a couple of days ago. And I do believe that, like I said, he is that next guy out of Puerto Rico. And now what needs to happen is what's been happening in the other weight classes. We need to see the unifications take place. We got to see the Xander Zayas versus Sebastian Fundora. So we need to see Virgil Ortiz get that title shot for the full world title, whether it's against Zayas or whether it's against Fundora. And we cannot leave out Bakram. I know that he may not be he may not sell out arenas, so his name may not be as big as Xander Zayas or as Virgil Ortiz or Sebastian Fundora, but he is a champion. He did beat Tim Tszyu, and what Tim Tszyu's team might have seen it as a comeback fight, or as I don't want to call it an easy win, but maybe it's a tune-up fight where they figured, okay, we came off of a grueling fight against Sebastian Fundora, where, you know, an elbow to the head, you know, made the big difference, or could have made the big difference. So they thought maybe we'll bounce back, get an easy title shot against Bakram, but it turned out to be the complete opposite. So we cannot leave that guy out of the equation either. We gotta see those unifications. That's what needs to happen in the 154-pound division. It happened a couple years back when Tony Harrison, Jermell Charlo, and Brian Castaño were all fighting each other. Jason Rosario was also at the top of his game at that time, and we had an undisputed champion at the time. You know, we had Jermell Charlo defeat Tony Harrison to regain his title. He beat Jason Rosario for the unification of the WBA, IBF, and the WBC, and then he ended up beating Brian Castaño to secure all 4 belts. So we need to see history repeat itself at 154, and I think it needs to happen now. So that was it for this video, guys. I wanted to leave my thought out there. I wanted to express my opinion. You guys let me know in the comments on what you guys think. You know, every opinion is welcomed. No hard feelings towards any opinion. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. If they believe Zayas is the next guy, if they think that he is not, for whatever reason, you know, every opinion is respected here. So, like I said, that was it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave on the comments any videos or any ideas that you guys have that you guys would want me to do. Maybe any boxing predictions, any breakdowns, or any reviews. You know, I would love to do them. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching, guys. Peace out.